Hello, my lovely fans. Thank you so much for always being here. I want to do a quick tutorial on Ashooke hairband. Before, I showed you this method for making hairband and I used satin. So today I'm going to introduce a completely new method but something close to this for making Ashooke hairband. You know, the material Ashooke is a kind of strong material, it's strong. So if you use this method on it, it will not relax on your client's head, you know, because of the one underneath. So I'm going to introduce you to this new method that you can use for both Ashooke, satin, and whichever material you are using. I just thought it wise to do that. So I'm using the big size of the headband. So you can see the size there is almost like 1.5, close to 2. So that's what I'm using. Then I will now use this Ashooke. The length of Ashooke I have there is about 70 inches. That is to make the ruffles, please. But this particular one I'm using to wrap. You know, because of the nature of Ashooke, of course, you can sew it the same way I showed you how to sew the satin. Just cut a size and then you fix the hairband inside. But for this particular tutorials, I just want to use the Ashooke to wrap the hairband. You know that the Ashooke is kind of wide. Of course, it does not stop you from wrapping it. That's just it. So I want to wrap it. I will carefully do that. I started by sticking it down with the hot glue. I will not because of the crossing, I'll keep sticking the crossing down because I don't want it to rise. Unlike the one I do with material, I might just finish wrapping before I will apply the last set of glue. But for this particular one, I'm just going to keep wrapping and then I will apply the hot glue along the lines that will be crossing it. Is that okay? All right, just to make it tight. But if you know you can make yours tight enough, then you don't need to apply the hot glue. And it's a little bit challenging because the Ashooke itself is wide, you understand, and then getting it to wrap on the hairband smoothly will pose a kind of challenge. But while I was doing it, I applied a little bit of glue to it. All right, so this is just how I did my wrapping. Wrap it to the end, then I simply use Peter Sham to glue the part that I will cut off. I just use Peter Sham. All right, I did not like fast forward it because I want you to see how I wrapped it to the end. I was extremely careful. I was actually at interval pulling it to make sure it's strong, not just strong, pulling it to make sure it is flat as well, and then trying again to like avoid having too much excessive one on the ending part so that I will not have this challenge of gluing that part down. Is that okay? All right, it's a quick one. Now the importance of this wrapping is, you know, I'm going to be using it to do some kind of sewing. So because of that, I just want it a little bit thick. I want it thicker than the normal. All right, so sorry that the wrapping is taking long. I want you to see it, so I did not I fast forward it. I did not cut it short. So if when you are wrapping yours you have a kind of challenge trying to flatten it, you should also remember that I too had the challenge of trying to flatten it. And like I said earlier, it's not compulsory you use this method. You can just sew it and then you fix it inside. So this is my Ashooke that I want to use for the ruffles. I have 70 inches of Ashooke divided into two that will now give me 35. Then I just face it together and then sew it together. After sewing it together, I turn it out so that the part I sew will be hidden inside while the smooth part will be outside. So right now I use my needle and thread to just like first of all stick it to a part, and then after that I will take a part of it to just do my loose stitches. I'm not doing it on every one, though I am doing these loose stitches now. My ends can actually go into it, you understand, because the loose stitches is meant to be on one single part. You can see my ends going inside. That's to tell you that it's not touching anywhere except this particular line where you see me moving now. So the aim is for me to like go through the line to the end, and then this thread now will help me to gather it first. So you know that once it is gathered, you would have created that ruffles that you are looking for, you understand. The first method I used, when you put the ruffles in the headband, it will fold together to create it, you understand. But with this particular method, you don't need to put it inside the hairband to get it to fold. All you need to do is use the thread to create the loose stitches, and then you pull it together. When you pull it together, it would have formed that ruffles we are looking for. It would have formed the ruffles, yeah. So you just pull it together. So as you see now, I'm done pulling it together. All I need to do now is I need to trace the midpoint of the hairband and also the midpoint of the ruffles that I have created. You get me? So this hairband, when I measured the hairband, it was actually 15 inches by length. So half of it will be 7.5. So at that particular point, I will also look for the midpoint of the ruffles and then place it so that it will not bend to any corner. Is that okay? So to close the edges, or should I call it mouth, the opening, you can see what I did there to close the opening. This is just what I did. I just used the same loose stitches to close the following what I am doing. So I will close both sides, and then I will, at this point I will introduce the use of my hot glue. Now this is the deal. I did not use hot glue alone. I used hot glue, after which I also used my needle and thread to do the finishing. I'm always of the opinion that hot glue can always give way, so it can pull off, you understand. So I always want to look for how best to make my work strong or stronger, you get me. So I close each of the ends. Sorry, this tutorial looks a little bit long, but it's just because I felt if I make it short, you might not really get what I'm doing. I want a situation whereby when you finish watching this video, you should be able to do it exactly, if not better, you get me. So I'll close that end again. I'll close the end just the same way I closed the first one. I'll close it. So right now I am done preparing this. So I've said it before that the length of the headband is 15. The headband is 15. So 15 divided by 2 will give me 7.5, or let's say 7.5. So that 7.5, at that point of 7.5, I'll simply place the ruffles. But before I will place the ruffles, I will also take the center point of the ruffles, you understand? So I will place the midpoint of the ruffles to the midpoint of the head band. Is that clear? All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just trying to like make sure that I have a good ruffles before placing it, but it's not a criteria. When I'm done with the preparation of the ruffles, tacking and creating the curve and all of that, I will still have to do some little bit of finishing touch on the headband. Is that okay? All right, so this is how it will look on the headband. This is how it will look. So I'm just, let me get the midpoint. That's the midpoint. So I'll just like use something to like, I'll put something as a sign for me to know. So I'll just use my pin. I'll just fix my pin on that midpoint, and then I'll also get the midpoint of the headband, and then fix it from that point using the hot glue. So at this point now, I will start using the thread, this exact thread, to tack some part of, just pick some part of the ruffles and tack it to the hairband. Just pick it and tack it to the hairband. This method will help me, one, to cover all the rough parts, all maybe candle showing and all of that. It will take care of it, and then it will also ensure that it is strong enough. You understand? So instead of just leaving it, if you glue it and leave it, it will stay. But I do not advise that you just glue it and leave it. When you are done gluing, use the thread to like tack the openings down, like where you see me touching all those places like that. Just use thread to pick them down. It will help you to arrange the ruffles well, and secondly, it will add more beauty. It will make it neat. It will make it stronger. It will preserve it. Yeah. All right, so thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you to all of us of Creative Ends platform. I am so grateful. So if today is your first time visiting this channel, please don't forget to subscribe while you are leaving. I love you so much. I'll see you in my next video. For me, bye for